will show you first how to make the pendant itself in a bit larger size, just to be able to show you exactly how it's made. Number one, we have to make a very tightly packed aluminum foil base, and because my hands don't work that good, I am using some pliers to make sure that I'm packing that aluminum foil very tight. And then I will be covering it with some scrap clay on the thickest setting on the pasta machine. Why I am doing this is simply to avoid cracks. Generally speaking, whenever you have a very thick piece of clay, it is possible that it might crack once you get it baked, because the clay on the surface will cool down much faster than the clay in the middle, and that will determine a cracking. Of course, you can try and avoid that if you dunk the piece right away in ice water, but when the pieces are really thick, that might not work. As you can see, I am adding two extra triangles of clay on what would be the hips of the mermaid. And all you have to do after this is simply to nicely smooth out the body of the mermaid. Well, the bottom half, the fish part. Once that is done, flatten out the tail fin, and then using your bowl stylus, start creating those ridges that are in the fin. And you will see that I am actually doing it in several steps, because I am first creating the fins and gently tapering, and then I will be trimming off the excess clay. Why I am doing it this way? Because I want to do a very refined tapering of the tail fin, not something that would make the very ends of the fin too thick, but at the same time allowing it to still keep some thickness that it wouldn't be easily bendable or breakable. Once you're happy with the way your tail fin is, it's time to embellish it. On this example, I'm going to use different colors than on the final one where I show you how to make the scales, and this is just to show you the principle behind it. That is, you need to put a darker color on the edge and a very bright color right in the middle. In this example, I'm using the wine copperish, and then in the middle, I suggest that you add either gold or silver, and then another color that is optional in between the edge and the very middle. Here I'm using some cherry, and all this is DecorRom mica powder. But as you can see, I'm extending the mica down on the tail fin. And then I'm going to apply the gold right in the very middle. The final one on which I'm showing you how to do the scale with, I did it with blueberry and green, if I'm not mistaken, and also gold. But this is how you apply the mica on your piece, after which you bake it for about an hour. Now let's make the scales, and I will be using liquid Kato Polyclay. You need a fairly thick layer of that, and you'll see I'm using a paintbrush. It is very easy to clean a paintbrush that you have used to brush liquid clay on something, simply with alcohol. So after I've applied my layer of liquid clay, I will be using the heat gun on it. Be very careful on the sides because you might have a little bit of dripping. If you notice that, stop using the heat gun and use your paintbrush to kind of wipe off those drips. And then use the heat gun until your liquid clay becomes all mirror-like and beautifully glossy. Do that on both sides the same way, and once again careful on the drips on the sides. Once you're happy with the way it looks, you'll need a linoleum cutter that normally is used by us crafters to make all kinds of textures. And you'll notice in all sets that you get, in the minimal sets that you get, there will be two that have that are rounded, and you can do the scales either starting from top or starting from the bottom. I'm showing you the top, but honestly I personally prefer to go from the bottom up. Now the secret is that you need to push first fairly straight and then kind of get the linoleum cutter almost parallel to whatever you're cutting on. That way you will lift not just the liquid clay but just the superficial layer of the regular polymer clay underneath. And you have to be very careful because it's very easy to, if you push too hard, to just go all the way through and gouge it. But as I said, me personally, and see I got here in a close-up, I prefer to go from the bottom up. This is one of the secrets that most of the art doll makers use for whenever they do mermaid art dolls, and it makes a beautiful effect that looks exactly like scales. It's very realistic, but this is just the first step. Yeah, I didn't really care much how I did the top because I'm going to have something on top of it, but you saw how at one point I went ahead and I gouged. So the second step is to apply just simply a second layer of liquid clay, only this time you apply it thin. And then you simply use your heat gun on it again until it gets all nice and glossy like a resin. once you're happy with the way your bottom part of a mermaid, the fish part, is, let's now put some realistic metal imitation on top, so that it would look like it's, you know, silver wrought or pewter wrought or something. First, place some bacon bond on the very top and just the top part of the sides, and then you'll need I made there a mix of 1 part granite with a 1/4 part black, but you can use just plain granite pearl. And then it is on a medium thin setting. That would be a 5 on my Atlas. I don't know how your machine is. And then you place it exactly like that, and you see I'm using a small scissor to cut the extra. I am way more comfortable using scissors in certain settings than using an X-Acto knife or a blade. Once I got everything that is in excess and might, you know, bunch up or fold on me, then I can use my X-Acto knife. And see, I'm doing like 2 wedge shapes on the hip sides, and then I will be cutting that all nice and round and straight, and the same thing on the other side of the pendant. The pendant doesn't really have a front and a back unless you decide to make it with a front and a back. Of course, you can embellish it. You can glue some rhinestones or other kind of small pearls or charms. But anyway, once you prepare your foam metal, then you can start applying all kinds of designs. And as you can see, and you will see here in a second, I am doing something that's slightly Celtic knottish, if you want. And I do that simply by using my needle tool. You can do this using a texture, only that it will be a little bit difficult because it's kind of hard to put that on without messing up the texture. Another thing that you can do is to use one of Donna Kato sponges directly after you place the graphite clay, if you don't feel that you have a good drawing hand to do this kind of designs, and it will still look just fine. But as you can see, it's not really hard, and you can practically design it really nice, and with a crayon or a pencil, not a crayon, a pencil, to get yourself the lines that you need. But what I'm doing is practically doing some interlocking ribbon-like design that kind of reminisces of the Celtic knot. Once I'm happy with my design, I am simply applying some old silver from the metallic line of Art Alchemy. And remember, everything that I used, I'm going to put links for the materials in the video description. After which we'll follow the baking. Once the wax is nicely hardened, then all you have to do is to buff it with a very soft cotton cloth. And actually, I figured out that not all cotton cloths work the same, so I'm gonna put you a link in the video description with what I'm using. After which I'm just putting a very thin layer of shellac varnish. Of course, you can use whatever varnish you want, or you can leave it without varnish if you so desire. And then all that is left is to simply poke a hole right in the middle top and put in an eye screw with some glue, jewelry glue or super glue or whatever. And there's your mermaid tail pendant.